What's up, Spud Nation? Week 12 NFL football. More importantly, Week 12 fantasy football. Your ranking show right here. Guys, this is where we need to make all the right moves. You polish up your studs and you put them out there and you let them do work. Hopefully y'all are having a successful 2013 campaign and we're going to make a strong push down the stretch. Here we go, guys. You guys know where to get at me. Craig@thesportscoach.com is the email. I answer emails. Any questions you have, I will get you back. Twitter handle, @thesportscoach. You got me on Facebook. You can leave comments. Or on the YouTube site. Guys, lots of avenues to get at me. Hit me up. All right, let's start out quarterbacks. Drew Brees, number 1. Number 2, Peyton Manning. 3, Matthew Stafford. Those guys are locked and loaded. Those are your studs. Those are the guys you are playing. Cam Newton, number 4. What a huge game in the national spotlight. Did a great job last night against the New England Patriots. Well done, Cam. That dude can kill you with his arms, his legs. It doesn't matter. Newton is a point-scoring machine. Tom Brady, number 5. Tony Romo, 6. Andrew Luck, 7. Number 8, RG3. 9, Phillip Rivers, who has slowed down some, but the Chargers are going to need him to charge back up and make some noise. And number 10, I love McNown. The Bears played in really bad weather. He's got tons of weapons, too many weapons to ignore. Look for him to continue to throw Alshon Jeffrey way. Brandon Marshall, he's got a great tight end, a good pass-catching running back. McCown, great value. For those of you who play FanDuel, McCown's got really good value. Check it out. That was your top 10. Now, I'm starting to play matchups a little bit. Now we're going to have some guys in the upper tier who maybe you have a quarterback on bye. You need some help. Russell Wilson's on bye. You see a guy like my number 11 ranked guy, Mike Glennon. Fantastic matchup. We saw what Big Ben did last week versus the Detroit Lions. Tampa's coming into town. They have a primetime receiver. And Glennon has been relatively successful. I like Glennon as I'm calling him a deep sleeper, but he's ranked awfully high to be a deep sleeper this week. I like Glennon. I like his matchup. Not a bad guy to stick in there. Number 12, I got Big Ben. Putting together some decent weeks. The receivers are doing a little more than they were at the beginning of the year. Nice job, Big Ben. 13, Kaepernick. 14, Case Keenum. I don't know or understand what went on this past week. Keenum had been pretty successful in the fantasy world. Not putting together the W's maybe that the Texans want. Big arm. Likes to target his main man, Andre Johnson. The dude can throw it all over the yard. Keenum is a starter again, so look for production out of Case Keenum once again. Jason Campbell, 15. Number 16, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Here's a guy with another very nice matchup, probably on the waiver wire. If you are in need of a quarterback, hit him up. Matt Ryan, 17. Eli Manning, 18. 19, Alex Smith. 20, Kellen Clemens. 21, McGloin from the Raiders, who, again, a guy who came out of nowhere, got an opportunity, and looked rather sharp this past week. Again, if you need a guy, and you're in a 2-quarterback league, 16-team league, quarterbacks are just not there, McGloin, with the matchup, is not a bad play this week. Tannehill, Flacco, Geno Smith rounded out. Running backs. I have Adrian Peterson ranked number 1. He usually destroys the Green Bay Packers. It's just what he does. Peterson is a monster. We all know that. Groin injury reappearing. Peterson didn't run all that well last week, although it was a more difficult matchup than he faces this week. Peterson is still a guy you're starting. If you own Adrian Peterson, you're rolling him out there, you're riding him, and you're expecting him to put your fantasy team on his back. Peterson, number 1. Number 2. 2 and 3 were tough for me. Jamal Charles got my number 2 ranking, but Matt Forte at number 3 is not far behind. Again, Charles is a guy where his team leans on him. If Charles isn't putting points on the scoreboard, the Chiefs find it very, very difficult to score touchdowns. Matt Forte, a running back who does it all, what can you say? Continually very solid production. Frank Gore, number 4. I like his matchup. Gore, what I don't like about him is he loses out on carries. They're starting to rotate running backs in there. But Frank Gore, consistent as always, is my number 4 ranked running back. 5, Eddie Lacy. Teams are starting to cue in on the running game, but Lacy still has value. They're going to put multiple guys in the box. Watch for Lacy to continue his 20-plus carries, and it's nice to see him get the goal line work. Alfred Morris, number 6. Not a great matchup, but Morris is a stud. He's a guy you play regardless of matchup. Zach Stacy, number 7. Off a bye week, should be fresh, should get 25-plus carries. Number 8, Chris Johnson. Number 9, Noshawn Moreno. Noshawn Moreno is dropping in value in certain leagues. Touchdown-heavy leagues, look for Moreno's value to fall a little bit. We saw a preview of what's to come towards the end of this season. Montee Ball was brought in to Denver to not only be the guy, but to be the guy around the goal line. Denver running backs have been very successful, and look for Montee Ball to take some of that thunder from Moreno. He did all the work inside the 10-yard line. Look for Montee Ball to continue that workload. It might only be a 10-carry night, but look for touchdowns to become part of Montee Ball's weekly status. Moreno falls to number 9. Chris Ivory, number 10. Don't look now, but Chris Ivory is finally the guy that everyone drafted him to be. Ivory was supposed to be the workhorse. He was supposed to be the guy getting you a touchdown and 100 yards every week. Well, it's happening. Ivory's getting starts, he's getting the bulk of carries, and he is being very productive. Look for that to continue. Chris Ivory, Jets workhorse. Andre Brown, number 11. Bobby Rainey. Yikes. You want to talk about a guy bursting on the scene? If you could find him out there, Bobby Rainey packed an incredible punch. I'm not a guy to jump on one-week wonders, but you can't ignore 30 carries, the work out of the backfield. He's catching the ball. He's doing goal line work. He's doing everything that Tampa needs. I like what this little turd brings to the table. He's getting it done. He's fast, he's shifty, and he just runs with reckless abandon. I like him a lot. Rashad Jennings, a guy who I also, you can't ignore his production. 3 out of 4 weeks over 100 yards. He's putting in touchdowns. He's doing what he needs to do as the starter in Oakland. He's carving a little niche out for himself when McFadden comes back. Look for Jennings to continue being productive this week. Number 14, I have Reggie Bush and Stephen Ridley splitting that spot. Ridley would be ranked higher, but Vereen's coming back. You know, if he fumbles at all, he's going to sit an entire quarter. It's just a very risky play with Ridley. He's very productive when he plays, as was shown last night. The guy runs hard, but it's tough in a fantasy owner standpoint where your guy can get pulled for multiple series for a mistake. And Reggie Bush, he is what he is. On the turf, he's better. He's on turf this week. Do your thing, Reggie. Score us some points. Darren Sproles, Pierre Thomas coming in number 15. The dynamic duo. I also tend to stay as far away from Saints running backs as I can. They have a great matchup this week. Look for them to be productive. If you own one, hopefully you don't own the other. Pierre Thomas being very productive when Sproles is out. Sproles, when he gets the opportunity, shows what he can do. 16, Le'Veon Bell. 17, we got our main man, Ben Tate. Ben Tate, he is what he is. He's going to hit you. He's going to get some carries. Look for Keenum to throw the ball a little more than they run the ball. But Ben Tate is productive. 18, DeMarco Murray. 19, Ryan Matthews. 20, Danny Woodhead. 21, Maurice Jones-Drew. Shane Vereen, 22. Andre Ellington, 23. Monte Ball, 24. Again, limited carries, but look for a lot of goal line work, and we all know Denver will be around the goal line. Joique Bell, 25. Lamar Miller, 26. Ray Rice, 27. Donald Brown, 28. Donald Brown has clearly stolen the reins from Trent Richardson. Now let's see if he can handle it now that he's got the spotlight shown directly on him. Rounding it out, we have Chris Ogbonnaya, D'Angelo Williams, Rashard Mendenhall, Steven Jackson, Mark Ingram, Trent Richardson, and Mike Tolbert. Wide receivers, Calvin Johnson, number 1. Vincent Jackson, number 2. Vincent Jackson has what you call a sweet matchup. Wide receiver 1s are absolutely murdering the Detroit Lions. You look at last week, Antonio Brown. You look at guys like Jordy Nelson, Brandon Marshall, even Alshon Jeffrey tore him up. You roll number 1 receivers in there, they do work. You couple that with the amount of targets this guy sees, and it looks to be a very big day for Vincent Jackson. Another guy that could be in for a humongous week this week is Demaryius Thomas. Wes Welker, unsure if he's going to play. Demaryius Thomas could be a target whore. You don't know if Julius Thomas is in. Look for Demaryius Thomas to have a gigantic week. Brandon Marshall, number 4. Andre Johnson, 5. Dez Bryant, 6. Josh Gordon, 7. T.Y. Hilton, 8. Antonio Brown, pass-catching machine. We saw what he did. He finally got in the end zone. If this guy could put a touchdown in the end zone every single week, he would jump into top 5, maybe top 6 value on a weekly basis. Jordy Nelson, number 10. Great matchup. Quarterbacks seems to be building a relationship with Jordy. Pierre Garçon, 11. Alshon Jeffrey, 12. Eric Decker, 13. This is another guy who could benefit greatly with Wes Welker out of the lineup. I'm not even ranking Welker. I don't think he's going to play, but you know how those concussion things go. Without Welker, Decker probably jumps up into top 10 consideration, especially if Julius Thomas doesn't play as well. Jared Boykin, 14. Victor Cruz. Victor Cruz, nice matchup. We need some production out of this old boy. He has been quite the letdown. Week in, week out, high expectations, just not quite living up to standards here. Terrence Williams, Keenan Allen, Larry Fitzgerald, Harry Douglas, and Danny Amendola round out your wide receiver 2s. There's your top 20 right there. Steve Smith, Marquise Colston, Denarius Moore, Torrey Smith. Kendall Wright is a guy who has the opportunity to have a very big week. He's got a good matchup. He gets targeted a bunch. Look for some production out of Kendall Wright. Cecil Shorts. Ruben Randall has put together a couple nice weeks. Kenny Stills, DeAndre Hopkins, and Jericho Cotchery round out the wide receiver 3s. Some guys you're going to take flyers on. Hakeem Nicks, Dwayne Bowe. Brandon LaFell looked great last night. Takes a couple weeks off, and then he'll have a nice game. Tavon Austin, Mario Manningham, Anquan Bolden, Brian Hartline. A name, if you're really scraping the barrel, Ace Sanders. He had 8 catches for the Jaguars. Again, you're taking big-time flyers on these guys. Chris Durham, David Nelson, Greg Jennings, James Jones. A guy on the waiver wire that you might want to look into, Santonio Holmes, but we know how inconsistent Geno Smith and that passing attack has been this year. Tight ends, Gronk, Jimmy Graham, Vernon Davis. Those guys are your locks every week. Julius Thomas, I have ranked number 4. Owners, we're hoping that he plays. If he doesn't play, obviously fill in accordingly. Jordan Reed's another guy. Is he going to play? Is he not going to play? Keep an eye on the IR or follow me on Twitter, and I will keep you updated. Jason Witten, Jordan Cameron, Greg Olson. Delaney Walker jumps into the top 10. This guy has put together 2 very nice weeks. He's seen a bunch of targets equal points. I love it. Delaney Walker, and a pretty nice matchup this week. Antonio Gates, number 10. Charles Clay, Coby Fleener. I get a bunch of questions about Coby Fleener. Is he for real? He had one big week. That's it. He does have the opportunity to see a bunch of targets. He should see a target increase. They basically have T.Y. Hilton and himself at receiver right now. Does that turn into points for Fleener? It should. He has been known to drop the ball quite a bit, but again, free agents, if he's a free agent, pick him up. High upside play and a very nice bye week fill-in. John Carlson, Tony Gonzalez, Martellus Bennett, Tim Wright, Heath Miller. If you're looking for a flyer this week, Michael Rivera. Obviously, not your household name. He's been all right this season, off and on, has a touchdown here or there. He's got a nice matchup, tight end friendly matchup, so take a look. Again, scraping the barrel, worth a fly. Anthony Fasano, Garrett Graham, Jeff Cumberland, and Rob Hausler. There you go. Week 12 rankings. You guys have any questions, comments, concerns? Hit me up. CraigoftheSportsCoach.com, Twitter handle, @TheSportsCoach. Good luck, fantasy players. Let's do work on our way to the playoffs. Till next week, we're out.